COVID-19 pandemic may not all be negative for South Africa. Different sectors of the economy have been forced to work remotely, albeit with varying levels of success. Many say the decision by the government to impose a general lockdown gave companies and institutions just a few days to move to a work-from-home system. Now, has the pandemic managed to help drive the fourth industrial revolution in South Africa, or realize how far away we are from that goal? For more on that, I'm joined by Professor Dwolatzky, who's the director of the Joburg Centre for Software Engineering at the University of the Witwatersrand. Professor, thank you very much for your time on Flatten the Curve. How would you say South Africa has done in terms of scrambling to embrace new technologies in the face of this global pandemic?
Well, I think that we've done really well, and just good evening to you and everyone. I think that that they say that necessity is the mother of invention, and I think we've learned to transform a lot of parts of our economy digitally because we had no choice. When we were locked down, a lot of companies, a lot of individuals, school kids had to learn to go digital. And it wasn't a thing that we could contemplate over a long period of time. We were driven to it by necessity. And I think largely we've done well. But very importantly, it's also shone a spotlight on the digital divide in our economy. So I think those that could connect from home, those that had the resources in terms of connectivity and devices and skills, have done well. But it's also shown up that we are a very divided economy and a very divided country in terms of digital access.
So this is an amazing opportunity for digital transformation, but certainly in South Africa there remains many challenges. We lag behind our peers even in the developing world when it comes to things like internet penetration, for instance. Surely that must be a massive barrier that we still need to overcome if we actually want to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yes, I think that, and to choose one sector, for example, and that's education, I think that with schools having closed, that tertiary education, higher education, and primary and secondary all had to learn to do things digitally. And it really has meant that the divide in our society along the digital line, the digital divide, has been very pronounced. And I think beyond the crisis, the huge opportunity for government is to focus very, very, very good resources and very clear focus on connectivity. I think that to bring down the digital divide would have so many benefits on education and almost every other sector of the South African economy, that I see it as an opportunity for government to be decisive and make a big move to connect everyone in fast networks.
And does this challenge also not present ourselves with a massive opportunity, not only for South Africa, but others in the developing world, in terms of leapfrogging technologies to embrace the most cutting edge, as opposed to going through many of the steps that the developed world has had to go through?
Yes, I think, there's been a lot of talk around the fourth industrial revolution. And it's one of those phrases I think has been quite sort of badly abused. So fourth industrial revolution has a very specific meaning to me, and it means digital transformation, but in a revolutionary way, to really grasp things like machine learning and artificial intelligence. And I think that we can use this opportunity to really go into revolutionary digital transformation and to leapfrog across many of the steps of transformation to get to the cutting edge quickly. But it's not simply waving a magic wand. It's going to need a lot of resource and a lot of focus. But I think we are talking about a new normal, and I think that new normal has to be based on these kind of revolutionary technologies, and our whole economy will benefit from that.
Professor, we've seen how digital technologies have changed the game during the COVID-19 pandemic in the health sector. You've got doctors giving diagnoses over apps like Zoom and Skype. Education sector, classes taking place remotely. Justice sector, judges delivering judgment remotely via digital technologies. What other sectors do you believe are ripe for reform necessitated through COVID-19?
Well, I think those that you've named are great examples, but I think almost everything else, the question of jobs. I mean, just we've talked about jobs of the future and fourth industrial revolution, but what is a job? A job is traditionally seen as time at the workplace, attendance at the workplace. I think that we could redefine jobs to be a collection of tasks, and people could do those tasks either for one employer or many employers, and what we call the so-called gig economy, where people do jobs in a very different way, and the whole notion of employment and jobs and contracts could be changed to grasp this moment in history. So I think that it's got many exciting prospects in terms of how we see our role in society and what work is going forward.
Professor, what would your advice be to South Africans and indeed any citizen of the world that wants to embrace this new opportunity? Is there any online resources that you'd encourage them to look at?
It's been amazing that people have adopted not new inventions, not new technology. So we're now speaking on a platform that's been around for several years. And that is something that people have just been introduced to recently. But these conversational platforms, these collaboration platforms have been around. So I think people should get familiar with these tools that are around and that we've started to use, but to try push the boundaries of them. And from that, I think that many innovations will come out. So, maybe there's a doctor using Zoom, but there could be some special features in a new version of something like Zoom that would most suit a doctor. So I think people should become familiar with the digital tools and techniques they use. And it's very easy to do. There are ample resources. And but then to push the boundary. I think as well people should become comfortable with digital in any way they can. So not to feel that it's a block or an obstruction. And there are various courses that one can do to learn to do various things in the digital. People should embrace that opportunity. So that is our future. I think that's where we're heading.
Best case scenario for the country embracing the fourth industrial revolution and digital technologies, could you see a scenario where South Africa's democracy is further entrenched through digital technologies, and indeed things like governance and accountability is also deepened through embracing digital technologies?
I think that it's a twin-edged sword. Many people are very concerned about the way that the response to the COVID pandemic has given an open door to governments around the world to track people, to trace people, to control our lives. So, and digital makes that control more complete. So I think that there are downsides to this, but I think the upside is that things like working from home, engaging with government and government representatives. We saw tonight the president having a conversation with people in the street, with citizens through a digital platform, and that could become the way we engage with our leaders, with our politicians, and they with us. So I think that there are two sides to this coin, and I think they both are very exciting. But it calls for the conversation to be had about how we want digital to impact our lives.